Greetings! I am Shawn Redman, aka the cheesily named Darth Shawn, and the Merc with the mouth has finally hit the big screen, and hopefully, Fox never sews his mouth shut again. After the disasters that were X-Men Origins Wolverine and Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds, it looked like Deadpool was never going to be made correctly. No matter how much Ryan Reynolds wanted to make it, no matter how much, they had directors and producers and people who wanted to do this movie, it just didn't seem like it was going to get made. And finally, we have Deadpool. And I think one of the biggest complaints I can possibly have with this movie is simply that you can tell that they had to really work through this movie to try to get it made and to get it through the studios and just to get it through. And there are things that can be seen on it. However, they truly got to make a Deadpool movie. And despite any of the flaws, that is the best thing they did because it truly does stand up to what is Deadpool. We get funny comments. We get breaking the fourth wall. We get X-Men. We get a lot of great things in here. And just with the success that it has had so far through its first 2 weeks in theaters and everything's going on, they can only go up in this universe. And they really set the table perfectly. The two things this film gets perfect. Number one, Deadpool. You could take him straight out of the comics and put him in the film, and it is exactly how I would imagine Deadpool would be. He has his quips, he has his comebacks, he breaks the fourth wall, and Ryan Reynolds plays him perfectly. The character is nailed 100%. So as bad as they messed up that character in X-Men Origins Wolverine, they get it that right in this film. Just really great job writing him, great job by Ryan Reynolds playing him, great job by the director. Just everything brought together brings him perfectly into the X-Men universe, really. The other thing they got really great in this film is the humor. This movie is very, very well written. It does go over the top. It has a lot of R-rated, just silly things, but a lot of the jokes are very well thought out. They're very well put together. They're put in the right place. Everyone knew that he was going to make a quip about Green Lantern. It's put really well in there. Everyone knew there was going to be quips about X-Men Origins Wolverine. They're put in perfect timing. They're not just forced in there. And that's really well done, as they wrote this story very well when it came to incorporating humor. TJ Miller plays the comic relief character in this, and he does it very well because it doesn't feel forced in. It's just kind of there, and it's natural, and it works. The humor, as I said, it feels very natural, and that's a high testament to the writers and the director being able to put this in together and not making it feel like they're forcing things down our throats. I also really love how they incorporated this into the X-Men universe. Obviously, being 20th Century Fox and owned by the same people, they can cross over the universe. They're going to be very careful with it because X-Men universe is going to be more the PG-13, where this is R-rated, and they don't want to cross them over completely because they could really hurt their brand. However, they did a really good job of bringing Colossus in here, and he worked really well as kind of this over-the-top goody two-shoes. And it really, really worked. They brought in the girl with the firepower, with the crazy name. And she did it was really, really good as an X-Men. And they were able to give the quips, knowing that they couldn't have the budget. They couldn't bring in the big names like the Hugh Jackmans for Wolverine or any of the other X-Men. They did a lot of really good quips talking about them and saying it. There's a moment where Deadpool goes up to Xavier's school, knocks on the door, and she answers it, and they're talking back and forth, and he talks about, I've only seen 2 of the X-Men. It's almost as if, we didn't have enough money to hire another X-Men. Very funny lines in it, and very funny that they would incorporate it, but they did a great job. They brought these characters in, and they felt natural. They felt real into this universe, and it was a really good job, and this is easily the best portrayal of Colossus. I feel like in the other X-Men movies, he's just been a side character. He's not been necessarily bad, but not like true to the comics as well. And this felt very much like Colossus, and it very much worked. And that is really good. And I like for the future what they do. Will they bring in Wolverine? Will they bring in other characters? I don't know. It's all possible, but being in the universe means they can play around in the future movies, and that's really exciting when you look at this. Now, this film is not a perfect movie. It's got a lot of little problems that do add up. The good outweighs the bad, but there are a lot of things that hold it back from being just a great film. One being the story is just so bland. It's just a bland story and I understand they had to try to get this through the studio and prove that, hey, we can make this sort of movie, and they got the humor through, but they probably had to make a lot of concessions. It just feels kind of regular. Guy meets girl, guy gets sick, guy gets superpowers, and then tries to get revenge on the guy who tried to kill him and then steals his girl. There's a lot of basic storytelling in it, and it just felt too basic. And I think there could have been a way where they could have pulled it off if they'd really overplayed the satire or the parody of this cliched superhero story. But they didn't really play it that way, and I think that's probably a lot to do with how they had to get it through producers and how they get it through the studio and to get this film made. So I don't fault them for necessarily having to go that route. I just feel like it really does hinder the movie from being great, is that it's just such a basic story. It is a really fun because of the humor, but the story as a whole just could have been a lot more. Again, if they had the budget, if they could have really proved it, bringing more of the X-Men in, not necessarily as, big roles, but the side characters and interacting, and that could have helped the story be more than just a couple of scenes, which is really what it is. They're elongated scenes, but it's not that much. The sceneries don't change, things don't change. They're just basically contained, and you can see that because of the budget constraints that they were on, because of the studio work that they had to prove, and a lot of different things to get this movie made. And so it doesn't hurt them because it's still a very good film because they do the great things, but it holds it back from being a great film. In the end, I really enjoyed Deadpool. I had a lot of fun watching it. The laughs were there. It is put together well enough that it really works. It's in a universe we already know, and so they do a good job incorporating that. But it just doesn't quite reach great status. It just is held off because of just such a simple story, kind of bland villains, and just things that just hold it from being great. However, it's still a lot of fun. It is very raunchy. It's very hard R. Parents, don't take your kids to the movie. There was a 7 or 8 year old around that age in the movie right behind us sitting in there. And it's just, come on, parents. This is not a movie for kids. Still enjoy it as parents, as adults. Go watch it, enjoy it, and it is definitely worth checking out. So what do you guys think? Did you like Deadpool? Let me know in the comments below. And what would you like to see in future Deadpool movies? As always, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I am Shawn Redman, aka the cheesily named Darth Shawn. And may the force be with you, always.